Hi, this is Arty from Tewksbury Country Club. This year we're going to have a series of shows for you, and we're going to teach you a little bit about the game of golf, and not just hitting the ball, but some etiquette, and we're also going to teach you about what the golf superintendents do to keep the course green. We're going to start today's show with the little rules. We're going to talk about the difference between the lateral hazards and the water hazards, and they're defined by red and yellow stakes. So when we get the show rolling, let's head over to the ponds and let's talk about some rules. Okay, here we are now on one of the holes here at Tewksbury Country Club. It's our 7th hole. It's a par 4. It has a little curve or dog leg to the right, as we like to call it. And actually you can see out here as we pan around, there are some golfers playing here. But more importantly today, what we want to talk about is the pond. There's a pond to the left and actually to the right of this hole. And as the camera swings around to the left, you can see there's some red markers that are running up along the pond. And that's just to show the golfers that this is a lateral water hazard. Now, a lateral water hazard has a couple of options you can use for relief. One is you can go back to the tee and re-hit from the last spot you hit your shot from. The second option you have is you can take a drop up here. Now, as far as a lateral goes, I would always suggest try to take the drop, because you're hitting a penalty stroke and you don't have to lose distance, which you would if you had to go back to the tee. Now, there are two ways of defining the boundary of the hazard. One way is just by the stakes alone, without a painted line here. That just indicates that there is a hazard, and the boundary of the hazard is actually the water. And what you would do in this case is, where the ball crosses the hazard, for today's purposes, let's say we crossed right about here. We would put a club down, we mark one club length, use a tee, and then within the next club length, you would take a drop. Now today, on this particular spot we've chosen, you can see that it's quite a steep hill. I'm going to swing around down to the bottom of the hill, and basically by taking the drop, I'm going to have to be careful here. Now, if I take a drop here and catch the ball as it's moving, I've incurred a penalty. Unfortunately, you would have to wait till the ball stops here, and this is a tough place to take a drop because of the slope. Normally you would take a drop. If it moves no closer to the hole, you play it. If it moves closer to the hole or falls back in the hazard because of the slope, you take a redrop again. Then what you would do is, after 2 tries, you would be able to place the ball within a club length and play your shot to the hole. So that's a lateral water hazard. Hopefully you don't land in too many of these. Now we're going to take a look back, and we're going to go talk about our actual water hazard, which is defined by yellow stakes. Okay, now we're on the same hole, and we actually have another body of water, but we're standing behind the water. There's land opposite the fairway, whereas the lateral water hazard, the water was to the entire left of the hole. Now we have an additional option here that we didn't have with the lateral. Now, our actual water hazard, unlike the red stakes, would be defined by yellow stakes or yellow paint. Now, in a water hazard, you have the same options that you had in the lateral. 1, you can go back to the tee and re-hit. 2, you can take a 2 club length drop no nearer the hole. But the third option that you have with a water hazard is, where you cross the hazard, you can actually come down here where you crossed, you can mark it with a tee again, and then what you can do is draw an imaginary line from the flagstick through that tee, and you can go back on that line as far as you like to hit your shot. Now, in a case like this here, you can see that we're on a steep hill. Maybe the condition here is kind of rough, and you can see, I don't know if you can look down here, you can see that they've done some work with irrigation trenching. So to me, this isn't a very nice area. I may want to go back to an area where it's a little better condition, or instead of hitting half a wedge here, maybe it's easier to hit a full wedge, and going back 30 yards would be a better option if we were closer to the pin. So those are the options you have between a lateral hazard and a water hazard. Again, have some fun out there playing. Now we're going to head over to the lesson tee. Okay, now here we are on the lesson tee. This is where I spend a lot of my time. And what we're going to talk about today is something that's going to help the beginners as well as the advanced golfer. Now, it's early in the year. The clubs have been dusted off. We finally get some nice weather. And one of the things you do when you go out to the range is you just start swinging. Now, whether your swing is good or whether it's bad, whether you like it or don't like it, everybody has to do the same thing, which is keep your balance. And we're going to talk about that today. You may have heard those cliches, keep your head down, keep your eye on the ball. Well, what does that mean? Well, keeping your head down, does that mean doing this and burying your head here like this? Or, the old keep your eye on the ball, Obviously, you can't keep your eye physically on the ball. And those are tips to help people. Someone just yelled 4. That's good. That's course etiquette. Hey, we just did course etiquette. Okay. So basically, what do those terms mean when someone says that to you? Keep your head down, keep your eye on the ball. Well, basically what happens in the golf swing, when you set up to hit a shot, you're creating an angle with your body at setup. For example, I'm going to bend over slightly, I'm going to flex my knees, and I'm going to put my hands down. Now I've created, that's called posture or setup. Now, in this swing that I've set up for, as I go back, as I come through, hit the ball, and as I follow through, you can see that my spine angle hasn't changed. I haven't come up, or have I moved down with this amount I bent over the swing, the entire swing. That's what you need to do. If you have bad legs or bad knees, bad back, and you feel that you have to almost swing only with your arms and you can't transfer the weight, that still doesn't matter. You still have to, whatever you bend over, you have to stay there that whole swing in order to hit the ball. Now I know, especially here in New England, a lot of the courses, just like this one, this is actually a fairly flat golf course, but a lot of them are hilly in New England, and you may have a situation like this where we have a nice little slope here on the tee, on the lesson tee, and now I'm in a situation where I have to bend over more to get down to the ball. I have to set up different than I would on a flat surface, and you can see how much more I have to bend over. Now, the proper way to hit this golf shot is to stay in this posture. You have to stay bent over the whole shot. Now, obviously, being bent over this much, it's very difficult to follow through all the way. The only way to follow through would be to come up. But if we come up on this shot, what happens? We top the ball, we miss the ball, it just dribbles down the hill. So basically, in taking a practice swing here, how much swing can I make staying in this posture? That's as simple as I can explain it, and that's all this shot is. So if I'm heading out to those two trees together, and I set up this shot, and I have to bend over, you can see that the ball's heading up towards that tree. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but you can see I stayed bent over. Now, I didn't follow through all the way because this hill didn't allow me to follow through with my stance. So no matter what position you're in on the golf course, no matter where you are, whether it's a flat surface or a hill surface, you have to keep your posture constant throughout the swing. Now your head is attached to your body, so that's where that tip came from. Keep your head down. It's not really keep your head down, it's keep your posture constant. Keep your eye on the ball. That's so you don't lift up and lift away. And I do want to say this. If someone tells you to keep your head down, basically all you're doing is looking at the ball on the backswing to restrict the backswing so you don't go too far and lose sight of the ball. Now we've lifted up and we're off balance. And on the follow through you can see that my head actually went out to see where the ball went. You cannot keep your head down and follow through like this. You can see in this view that this shoulder isn't nearly caught up with this shoulder and my waist is heading to right field. If I look up and follow through, now my right shoulder is further to the target than my left. That's a good follow through. That helps you with your direction. So go out and try this a little bit, and whether you have a good swing or a bad swing, Just keep your balance. And if you need any help, you can call us here at Tewksbury Country Club at 640-0033. I'd be glad to help you. Good luck.